Like, she sent me a package as well recently. I saved the bubble wrap on that one, and I'm gonna send her a package soon. And she's getting back the same bubble wrap that she wrapped my stuff in. Welcome back, everyone. I just realized while listening to our previous episodes that we tend to not introduce ourselves. So, I'm Jika. He's
Ryan,
and
hello.
we've got a special guest, and welcome back to another episode of Pen.
Noobs.
Yay! Another voice has arrived into the channel. The channel? What? Am I streaming? Oh, wait. We have a streamer in our midst today. And you'd think that stationary and streaming would not have an overlap, but it does. And it comes in the form of our special guest today, someone very special to us, someone who we actually invited sometime in May.
Yeah, we did.
For the first trial, okay, of an experimental episode, which maybe we'll upload at a much later point in time if she permits us to. But she's here, Unisse of Sushi.plans. So welcome, Unisse.
Hello, guys. Welcome. Hello again. And yes, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I always enjoy listening every Friday night or sometimes Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time
Actually,
with salary.
your stream on Twitch, I have a notification, so every time you're online, I always get to see it. Although I don't
Yeah.
watch it at times on the time when you're live because sometimes it's during work hours. But when I do see it, I'm like, oh, I wish I could watch.
Video
work-
on demand.
You work on Saturdays and Sundays?
Yeah, I still work on Saturdays and
Oh
Sundays.
my god. Well, that's the same for me, so I can't really say anything about that. But yeah.
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 So Eunice, what's up? Joke lang.
What's
What's up?
the sky is up? No, I don't know. It's been, I don't know. It's been up and down. I Today was a busy day. It's a Saturday here now, so supposedly Saturdays are like my journaling time and my stream day, right? But after streaming today, I actually attended the first time for because I joined Abby C's Patreon, so we got to do a journal hangout. It was fun, but I didn't actually get to journal while it was at the hangout because like, oh wait, I forgot to print out the printables, so I don't have stickers for this print. So it's like, okay, wait lang, I'm gonna print. I'm gonna run out and print and then fussy cut everything. And then the journal hangout was like over after an hour. So I was like, okay, I'm still cutting and printing. So okay, sure. Uh, but after that, I actually had work today. It was tiring, but at least it was a mix of like journaling and like work. So there's good and bad. Good
Yeah.
and bad.
Good and bad. Saturdays are good, but when it's filled with some sort of work, it could
No.
be bad.
It's not fun.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on from that. Okay. We're
Yes.
gonna move on from work, even though it's a weekend, and actually talk about our noob discoveries. As per usual, noob discoveries is our special segment where we talk about the most recent things that we discovered in relation to pens, stationery, and anything within that topic. So how do we go about this time, right? By age? By not age? Ship of coin?
Well, of course, we should have our guests first to share her new discovery.
Of course, of course. Um, so I guess my new discovery has something to do with all of the craziness that's happening. It's August now, so it's planner release season for 2022, and well, this year there's been like so many new planners that are coming out. So it's been hard to actually choose one. Like, um it's gonna be scandalous for me to say this, but I'm actually considering not getting a Hobonichi next year.
Who are you?
Like I don't know why, but I think for me the Hobonichi cousin is a bit too much for me now this year. Like I didn't get to use it that much. So I'm actually looking towards like getting a Noti listy one for work and then I'm still gonna use a take a note. So those are like old discoveries, but the new discovery is this um what's this? It's the Bushman or Bushiman and Kokuyo collaboration called the PAL 2022 planner. So it's called PAL. It's PAL. It's all caps. And I think it was mentioned once before in the Stationary Cafe podcast as well during their happy hour. So shout out to April and Kelly for that. We It's basically a different kind of planner wherein you have a frame and there's a line in the middle so that you can actually plan on one side and log on the other side. That's why it's called PAL. So plan and log. It's an interesting layout. So I'm kind of excited to try it. I think for now in the US it was open for pre-order from Yoseka and also a blank note, but I think they're sold out. And if any local stationery store wants to get a hold of those stocks, they have to contact the creator of that personally. Her Instagram handle is BUSHIMEN_. And I think she's based in New Zealand, but she's Chinese. So she made the planner based on like the things layouts that she wanted, and it's using supposedly a fountain pen friendly paper, the Kokuyo Mio. So Kokuyo is also like they have a lot of fountain pen friendly paper, so that's why I kind of like went with it as well. She actually has a photo of like different fountain pens and inks that she tested on the paper as well. There's minimal ghosting, doesn't smudge as much. So yeah.
Ooh, now that I'm looking at the layout, it looks like it's something that would work also for me.
Oh, we're looking at the same
Oh
thing.
no.
So
But
it's Bushman Kokyo Pal Planner.
Yeah.
where did you could you send that to me right now, Ryan? Because the way you're describing it, guys, it reminds me of last year's release of the Kokuyo Jibun Days.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Jibon days, wherein
Uh-huh.
you actually have a timeline in the middle, and then you have some space on the right and some space on the left. So it's very similar. I actually only saw the Jibun days recently as well, but like the main difference between the Bushiman file planner and the Jibun Tacho days is that the days is like individual day. Like you have one page a day, and this one is like a weekly layout. So it's very small. It's not too intimidating, and it comes in a B6 size. So it's not your usual A5, A6 that we're used to with Hobonichi. So it's like a whole new chance to get a new cover.
Yeah, it's like that's right. It's not too small. It's not as small as an A6, but it's not as overwhelming as an A5
Mm.
and B6, which is, just right.
Yeah, I've heard like a lot of the different people in the stationary community who are using like the Hobonichi always ask for like a B6. They want a B6, right? Something that's in between the A5 and the A6. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be my first time to get a B6, so we'll see.
Both of you sound really excited about this. So Ryan,
Yeah.
hi Ryan.
Honestly, I have been out of the radar when it comes to stationery lately. Like whenever I just see something, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just forward it to Jika.
Exactly.
Because
Uh,
lately I've been swamped with work, and also I got into Pokemon Unite. I'm not sure if you guys know that game. Okay, so this
yes.
is not a Pokemon Unite podcast. So this is a stationary podcast, and therefore I will focus on stationary. But one of the things I did discover recently, which Jika and I were talking about through chat, was that Sky Bambi, Tersh is half Pinoy. She's half Filipino. And she confirmed it to me. Like I messaged her, like, girl, Pinoy ka? I'm just kidding. No, I didn't say that. Because I made a mistake. I made a mistake of like messaging her in one of her posts. I think she bought a pelican, her first pelican. And I was like, wow, ganda girl. It was supposed to be for Nika. And she saw my comment on Instagram and she put a heart. So I'm like, maybe she understood it. And then told me like, oh, is it true that Sky Bambi's Pinoy because it's in her stories? And I checked and I I messaged her, asked her, are you half Filipino? Then she said, yes, it's my better half. So I'm like, woo, shout out to that.
Nice.
Thank you, Sky Bambi, for being one of the Filipino makers that we admire very much. We love your
Yeah,
products. So yes.
products.
And also, I think, was I the one who told you that? Because there's this thing going around like 8 facts about you on Instagram stories, right? And that's actually how I found out. And I just messaged it to you, Ryan. It's like, is
Yes.
she really Filipino? Wow, it's like a cameo of sorts. I admire her so much. Yes, thank you. And now it's,
Okay, your turn, Jika.
I have nothing.
No.
It's true though, literally. And I'm gonna come up with something in a bit. But before we started recording this, I really just told Eunice and Brian I have nothing.
What about
So
the latest stories that you just posted? Like new inks. I
what
saw more inks.
what stories? Oh yeah, Mountain of Eight. Thank you so
Panyakan.
much, Eunice. You are a beautiful
I'm
and
a stalker on
a
Instagram.
beautiful guest. Yes, thank you. So I've actually been on a pause for all of my purchases so far because maybe this is gonna be tangential, but it's also a somewhat new discovery. People who follow me online know, or us on the Pen Noobs past podcast know that I recently got a Leonardo
Yes.
um
Yeah.
memento.
Flex. Just
It's
kidding.
not a flex. It's not a flex. I right now I'm like totally coming up on empty, but I know it's Leonardo. Okay, I know it's called the Millefiore. I love it. It's a piston filler. I have now transitioned from my Japan phase to my Italian phase. I feel, and we're just waiting to reach France cruises from the last episode's level of like pause. Maybe I think I'm gearing up for my final purchase in a while. For a while, I mean, and that's gonna be another Leonardo pen. It's gonna be a Momento um Zero Grande with Jonathan Brooks of Carolina Pen Company's Primary Manipulation. So it's this swirly thing where like the resins of 8 colors are mixed together, and it's really hard to make 8 colors not look muddy. So I missed out on the last release as stocked by our dearest friend from Pen Graphics, Sir Kailash. Thank you for supplying Leonardo pens to
Oh.
us. Yeah, I missed out on the last one, and this time around, he said that there's gonna get the restock in September, so I'm gearing up for that. Which leads me to just posting about things I want, but I have no plans of getting. So that's my noob discovery. My noob discovery is essentially that Mountain of Ink, one of the most dependable ink bloggers and resources, just posted something from Birmingham Pens. And I've never had inks from them, but I don't know what this series is called, but it's nice and muted, unsaturated, but with good shading. The ink is called Mud Puddle, Stormwater, Hemlock Cove or Cone, Sandstone, and Antique Sepia. I did read the review of these inks on her blog, but I haven't exactly kept it. Like, yeah, I haven't kept like, is there a name for this particular release? I haven't really kept up with it, but I will link it. We will link it in our description. So thanks for reminding me, Eunice. Thank you. That's my new
Well,
discovery. Very long, and I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
Perfectly.
have Birmingham inks probably sometime before the end of the year.
More
Because
stuff.
I did order, and then it's in a box to like a balikbayan box
Mhm.
that's gonna ship. I don't know if I have any of the inks that was mentioned in the latest post, but I did order a bunch, and it's like a lot of inks.
It is. I bet it is. But
Yeah,
how would you call it? I've never had, like, I don't think I've had American inks.
I have Monteverde inks, so
Mm,
those are American.
yes.
I'm just glancing behind me to look
Yeah.
at my ink stash over here. Uh yeah, I think I only the only American inks that I have are Monteverde, and then of course Canadian, which is very well pressed. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
What
why
one?
it's exciting.
Oh, I have antique sepia in the list. Um, yeah, that's the only one that's in the list. I have a lot of the other things, but when the box comes, I'll just give you samples.
Thank you in
I'll
advance.
just give you samples.
Yes, thank you, Birmingham Inks, for inciting my desire for your collection that I will not anytime soon get.
Yeah, I
It's
have a
hard to get.
confession. I have a confession. I
Yes,
thought
Ryan.
that the inks you posted were Robert Oster's. The muddy collection.
Yeah, I thought so as well.
Yeah. It looks kind of similar, I guess. I also have the set. What inks don't I have at this point?
That's true. We'll get to
Uh,
talking about your collection in a bit. So, are you excited for that?
yeah, sure. Let's go.
Ryan, Q&A time na ba? Is this
Okay.
the time?
Yeah, I do think it's time for us to do the Q&A part. Um, and as usual, we start off first our interviews or Q&A with a question about journeys because we do want to talk about pen journeys, especially for those who are noobs and not so noobs. And so we'd like to know, how did your pen journey actually begin?
For me, I actually didn't get into fountain pens until like 2016 or 2017. Because I started with the Hobonichi. Okay? I would use regular pens, like a lot of different gel pens, ballpoint pens, and also the pretty uni Jetstream from Hobonichi that you get from ordering from them. Those are like perfect pens for it. But then I actually attended a Hobonichi users meetup once. It was held in SM Aura. And there was like tables and tables of everything. But of course, I was oblivious to the world of fountain pens then. Um, so I just went to the table with the washi, and I would just get cards and like take samples of washi because they were giving away washi samples. So I just collected a lot of washi, and then I made friends there, and he said, "Oh, fountain pens are really good for Hobonichi. Maybe you want to try one." And then I actually met up with one person after the meetup at a Starbucks to just like trade other things, talk about different things, and she uses a fountain pen. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll give it a try. And then one fateful day, this is in relation to your previous episode, with your students. I think it was France, was it, who actually bought his pens at Pilot Philippines, right? He mentioned Cosmos Bazaar. When I was listening to the podcast, I was like, hey, that's where I bought my first pen. So it was one day I actually go to Binondo more or less twice a year to get my dental appointment, my regular dental cleaning. And just, I don't know, while waiting, I just went downstairs, crossed the street to Cosmos Bazaar, and like, okay, I'm gonna look at some pens, some other things. Like I wasn't even looking for a fountain pen. And I was like, and I got curious, so I asked the lady, "Do you have fountain pens here?" And then she's like, "Yeah, we do. We have these tiny pens." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Don't you have any other things?" And then eventually, I saw something that was like blue gray. Um, it's it's a Pilot Prera in fine. It's slate gray. It's this tiny pen. Um, so it's kind of like a pocket pen, and it has a snap cap, so it doesn't twist. It doesn't. It's not a screw-on cap. And that was my first pen. So I bought it there, and then I also bought a bottle of ink together with, because they have a set like of all of the Pilot Eros Shizuku inks that's like just on display. And I was like, okay, can I get a blue ink because it matches the slate blue? Not because they didn't have black, they didn't have other colors, like they only had the brown. So I was like, okay, I'll get the blue. So I got the Pilot Shoro, and that was the start of my pen journey. Uh, After that, I actually didn't purchase pens because for me at that time, I think that was a few years into my career as a software engineer. So I didn't really have a lot of money saved up yet. So I was like, okay, fountain pens are expensive. So I'm not gonna buy much. So I'm just gonna buy one. And this pilot Prera has lasted me quite some time, and it's currently still with me. So I still love it. Every time I pick it up, it's like one of the best writers that I have for a steel nib, like compared to all of my other pens. It makes my handwriting looks nice. So yeah, that's how it began, and then the rest is I don't know yet.
A long journey. We
Mm-hmm.
totally understand. But hey, Ryan, again, in this Zoom room, we are the youngest in this pen hobby. So, wow, we're surrounded by people who know what they're doing.
No, 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 no. I don't know. I don't claim to know. All of the things that I learned about fountain pens I acquired over the duration of the pandemic. That's what the
Pandemic.
pandemic does.
Yeah, so
Correct.
many people got penabled because of the pandemic.
Pandemic.
Pandemic is real. It's just totally true. But
Yeah.
you did mention that you're a software engineer, which is like Ryan and I know you actually more as a computer science teacher, and now it's like there's so
Ah.
many things that you do that seem very distant to this whole analog life that we're talking about today and that we're in. So like what is what's with the contrast? How did you arrive at that? Why did you even continue with all this fountain pen and stationery stuff if your world is essentially on
Digital.
screen? Yeah, digital.
Um I don't know. I guess it stems from I guess my childhood, right? So here in Asia, like here in the Philippines, we are very similar to how a lot of people just like when you go to school, you have stationery, you have notebooks, you have pens, you have a lot of different kinds of notebooks. So I actually enjoy writing. Like I like writing on paper a lot. Um and you know how every Christmas season we go to our favorite coffee shop and like start collecting stickers and everything for to get a planner for from Starbucks. Yeah. So I actually like have a bin that's filled with like Starbucks planners that were never really filled up. Like I would always fall off at like March, April, or like and then pick it up again sometime in August and then drop off again and then pick it up again in December, right? So I've been in the planner or journal area of life for quite some time already. And I don't know, I just like pens. All of my sisters, we enjoy pens and stuff. So we buy pens, we use them, we like highlighters. So stationery has been like part of life in general. And um I actually can't remember how I got started with the Hobonichi. Like I seriously cannot remember. Um and and from there when I started getting the Hobonichi, it just continued ever since. Like I think I started probably 2016 or 2015, and it just went continuous from there. I was like, oh, I like this paper. I like how pens behave on this paper. I like the whole grid system, but and then eventually one book became two, became three, and then a 5 year. So and then eventually, yeah, we went to that fateful meetup that kind of like enabled me to all the pen. But generally, it's just because I like writing on paper. Like I write random things on paper as well.
Yeah, I also collect Starbucks planners. I think starting 2012. 2012, yeah.
I
Yeah.
started earlier than that. I started 2009
See,
or
Ooh.
2008, probably. Like probably after high school. Was it?
I was already.
Yeah, like I think starting from college, from college for me. So
It, I remember that for people, I'm not sure actually if the Starbucks planner culture is also happens in other countries. Does it?
I don't
Maybe our
I don't
audience
think
can
as
tell
much. I
us.
don't think it's I don't think they have it as much. Probably some other places in Asia they do, but I think it's just here in the Philippines. that we do have that annual thing with the
Yeah.
Starbucks planner.
Yeah, and we collect stickers, and it's an arduous process. Like people would
Like you
line
drag your
up.
friends.
You drag your
to-
friends, and then you buy them the cheapest thing on the menu. And at that time, it was like less than $2 to get like a black coffee, grande size or venti or something like that. But it's really embedded in our culture, and I like thank you for bringing that up. I didn't recall that I was a Starbucks planner person until you brought it up right now. I started, yeah, in either it was 2008 or 2009 with the brown one. It was still, it looked like wood on the cover.
yeah, but it's kind of like it's not really wood. It's like
Oh,
fake
I had
wood.
that. I
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
had one
yeah,
in red.
I also had that one because
Eh,
It's small, di ba? It's small. Tapos it's like,
No, 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 it's a bit big. I actually have it all. If but it's like behind me, so I don't want to like
yeah.
dig. I don't want to dig things up. But yeah, I do have like a lot. I have one almost every year. And there were like other planners too, like for example, the Belle de Jour,
The
and
building.
then there was also this other blogger who's like a travel food blogger. His name's Anton Diaz, I think, and he runs the Our Awesome Planet blog, and he also made a travel planner. So those were the times that I was like, oh, I want planners, I want these different kinds. And every year, the thing is, it makes it fun to collect because every year they kind of like change the layout inside. But it's always going to be like kind of like a weekly. They never come up with a day in a page kind of thing, unlike the Hobonichi, which was interesting for me. I guess that's why I kind of like shifted to Hobonichi because I wanted to see if I can actually maintain like one day a page, a journal, and like write other things because it's always like, well, I never get to use this. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, speaking of planners, since we you mentioned earlier about this culture, I just remembered in Korea and in Singapore, they do have planners also for Starbucks, but it's always like it's sold in the
Mm.
store. It's not like here in the Philippines wherein you collect stickers and you get a planner if you collect this much stickers. Yeah, because I remember there was a time I got frustrated with like why are you coming up with designs that sometimes I like, sometimes I don't? There's no consistency. So I'm like
Yeah.
I tried to check out what's in Singapore and then in Korea, and then I asked some friends to get me a planner 1 year from Singapore, the other one from Korea. So yeah, that happened before.
yeah, Hobonichi and Starbucks apparently are all parts of this story of all of our journeys. So thank you to these brands. Who would have thought that coffee would have such an impact on our lives and this podcast coming to this? But anyway, okay. Um, other things actually, because since we're talking about stationery and actually more than fountain pens or like so fountain pens are essentially a recent thing to you, right?
Mm. Somewhat. Yeah.
What is the so it's since we're largely at the stationary area. Well, we know that you're a stationary streamer. So let's get to that story.
All right. So the thing about stationary streaming was it was an idea that came from Stationary Cafe podcast Discord. So they have a community. I started listening to the Stationary Cafe podcast because of Aina. Right, I saw it in her stories and I was like, oh, it's interesting. There's a podcast. And at that time I would like sometimes to drive my sister to work. So I have time in the car to listen to podcasts. So I was like looking for things. And I tried it out. And then I joined a Facebook group first. And then from there, they started to say that they had a Discord server. Right. So everyone's now into the whole Discord thing, because of like all of us oldies getting into Discord. And now like I have over 10 Discord servers for class and for hobbies. Right. So from there they were talking about streaming on Twitch, about stationery. And at that time, I think around that time, I was already into Among Us, and I did also stream a little bit of Among Us with like playing with friends and students, right? So we would just distress and like play Among Us and highlight all of the wins and like the fails and everything, because of the whole Among Us fan phase. Eventually, since I do kind of like have the setup, like I have a webcam, I have a microphone, um, and we did mukbang streams first. Like my sisters and I decided like out of nowhere, because I think it was my sister who's been watching Stephanie Sue, and she does these like mukbangs with while she's telling like horror stories or like true crime stories, not horror stories, true crime. And we would watch that together, and we were like, oh, we want to do mukbangs too. And like we can do mukbangs on streams or like on Twitch. It will disappear after a time. So like, okay, we can do that. And then we tried it out. I think we did like a few. Then eventually we got tired setting up the table for like food streams. And then the stationary cafe, April, Miranda, so April Penguins Creative, Miranda Havoc Rose, and Joy from Oh Hi Joy, they created or they hosted a workshop, right? Kind of like a tutorial to get into stationary streaming. And I think the first person who started the whole stationary streaming thing was actually Miranda from or Havoc Rose. She normally streams games, and then eventually she wanted to show her stationary, so she eventually turned one of her streams into a stationary stream, and that's when all of this thing started. So April also got on board, Joy also got there, and then they started teaching everyone. Then Joe's journal also did it, and I was like, huh. One one Sunday, I was like bored and was like, oh, everyone's journaling, and then I was like, oh, I also want to journal. I started my travel journal that's like backlogging all the way to 2015, and I kind of stopped. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stream so that I can be accountable. Like I would actually be forced to actually work on my journal while I'm on stream, so that I would actually set aside that time because I'm actually doing it for other people or for me as well. So it was mostly just to kind of like force me to have that time to journal and like also have company while I journal. So that's how I got into stationary streaming. So kudos to April, Miranda, and Joy for actually helping us get started with that. Like having all the transitions and everything, the different kinds of scenes. Uh, and yeah, those are mostly the thing that kind of like enhance my noob streaming style from the very beginning. I was like, okay, we just start streaming and then we'll play a game.
When did you start?
um, so I already had a Twitch account back in October of 2020, because that was like around the time, or earlier than that, because that was around the time that we were playing Among Us. And I learned how I can actually stream on Twitch. And eventually, I only started the mukbangs towards late March of 2021. And then stationary streaming officially, I think, was it probably sometime in April or end of March, and then it became more frequent in April. So it was only April of 2021. So it's only been like 4 months. 4
And
months.
we got to know each other when we started this podcast. So
Yeah.
we're in and around the same age in this like
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty
I
much.
know that. Okay, so when you were mentioning the mukbangs, I was like, I thought you'd been doing it for quite a while.
No, no,
That
no.
when I watched it, it was still like sushi and donuts. Literally sushi and donuts.
Yeah, we would like have random cravings, my sisters and I. Like we would either cook or we would buy or order things in. Like it started with Frankie's, because like we miss Frankie's. It's been so long. Like we can't go out to eat. So I was like, my sister said, I want wings, but like I'm not contented with just 24 chicken. So she wanted Frankie's. And then it's like, yeah, let's make a mukbang out of it. How many flavors should we get? So we ordered, I think, like two, was it a dozen or 2 dozen? It was like a ton of chicken.
I'm so yummy right now. Okay.
Haven't you had dinner yet?
we had grilled cheese sandwiches for dinner.
Wow, diet.
Because we live with a 6-year-old, so what he wants is what happens.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
cute.
that's so adorable. Yeah. And I guess the other thing that kind of like um helped me ease into stationary streaming is that we do online classes, right?
Yeah.
And streaming is a lot like teaching.
Hmm,
Like
yeah,
I mean I
actually.
mean you look at a camera or like you look into the audience, right? And then you check your chat if your students are actually chatting with you and you read off chat and then I'm sorry for whoever's gonna be listening to this, but it's true. I felt like if I'm gonna be teaching online anyway for like the next I don't know until when, right? And I'm just gonna be facing students like who don't really always turn on their cameras because it's like a privacy thing, so that they don't have they don't get recorded and stuff, which is fine by me. But like streaming is a lot like that. You just talk and talk, and then you read chat, and then you interact with chat, and eventually you just agree or say other things. And like it's just like that. You're just talking to yourself in a way. Well, yeah, the analogy.
So that's the secret to becoming a successful streamer.
There's a connection of like why do you teach and like why do you stream?
Actually, now that you think about it, it reminds me of like how the experience of teaching college students. There's always this like, okay, no one's talking, no one's responding. Thanks, guys. Welcome to my TED talk. And now the next thing I'm gonna say, okay, thank you for attending my stream.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean I bring up a lot of I bring some of the perkiness, I guess, that I get to practice on stream sometimes into my class. Like I would say I don't know, I kind of like get some of the interactions that I learned from Twitch and also the things that I learned from classes, and it kind of mixes. So it's kind of funny that way.
It's nice. It's nice. At least you're able to find that more of like that intersection and how you can apply the stuff you're learning from your Twitch streaming, and also how you're
Online
applying
teaching.
what you're teaching also, and apply it to your streaming, vice versa.
Yeah,
Does
it's very
this count?
similar.
Does it count as professional development?
I don't know. uh,
So actually, I'm also quite curious about the more or less that like the community or like the people um in your streaming, like what's the difference between like people who are watching your stream and then those who probably follow you on Instagram and the like.
okay. I'm not sure if there's a difference, but most of the people that I see who are on Instagram are also the people who join the streams, and mostly the people who are on my streams are part of the stationary cafe or the stationary brew team. There's actually a team that they form, like Miranda formed, so it's basically kind of like a team of all of the different stationary streamers that are on Twitch now. So she just they just usually add regular stationary streamers there, and I was like so happy when that invite came in. I was like so giddy in the morning. So I was like yay. um and then from there we actually also have like a Google Calendar for that, of all of the different schedules, because there's so many of us. There's so many of us now, like sometimes even the stream schedules overlap now, like there's only 24 hours in a day. So most of the people that go on Twitch are just the same people who watch all of the different stationary brew team. um but there are a few, like lately I've been seeing some other Filipinos also in the chat. Most of the audience that I have are based in the US, or in, well, mostly US, because I don't end up streaming for the UK people. Um and also we have someone in Asia, because she's also in Taiwan. So Judy also streams now. So, and then there's another one now who is in Tokyo, and she also started streaming again. So yeah, there's now more people in Asia streaming. So we have like reasonable times to watch the streams. But yeah, the difference with Instagram, I guess Instagram has more reach. There's like more people who just comment because not a lot of people actually go on Twitch. It's it's a younger community, I think, right? Because it's mostly for games. So not a lot of people who are used to Instagram and other app other social media applications don't usually go on Twitch. But it's interesting because like today, because I joined ABC's Patreon, there's a lot of other Filipinos there, and I was able to promote myself there as well. They was like, hey, just drop it in the self promo, and it's like, okay, sure. And then they all came earlier today, and it was like so fun that there were a lot of the other Filipinos there. Plus I hosted a giveaway today for the stickers, so it was kind of fun. So yeah, it's nice to see that there's more Filipinos that are also, there are other Filipinos that also stream actually, but like they don't stream stationary. I think they stream games sometimes. So yeah, there's a bunch in the Fountain Pen Network community as well. They stream on Twitch, but they stream games.
Oh, but if you think about it, actually, this is also like why you're here. Because one is you're the first person I knew, and apparently you're very consistent at it, and you're part of that
Once a week now
once a
instead of
week
two.
now because
Once a
life
week.
happens and you have the capacity to wake up early on weekends, unlike us. But um, other Filipino streamers, is it just you and Sam of Ink Sample?
Oh yeah, Sam also streams, but I think she hasn't streamed recently. But yeah, she also does stationary streams sometimes. She also set up her Twitch account. Um and we're both mostly just like watching all of the US streamers as well. Um there's also a lot of other ones that they stream, but they don't stream stationary specifically. So I think it's something new, and like I guess it's an interesting topic because like I guess some people probably here in the Philippines might I don't know, we might think that we have too much stuff to show because it's like whenever I stream there's like always a ton of stuff that I'm showing, so it's like ultimate budol for a lot of different people, and like that's why we have an enabling tag on our streams because warning, you may be enabled on this stream.
That's true. And I have
So
been
yeah,
before.
yeah, I've enabled a lot of different people.
Such patience. Because shipping to this country is not so easy. And you
But
getting. Sorry, go ahead.
surprisingly, I don't think shipping to the Philippines is that hard now. I'm actually surprised at the speed. Like for example, Amazon Japan can ship to the Philippines, as well as like cute things from Japan ships through DHL, so it's like really easy as well. Um, Other places, like things that ship to the US, probably might take longer if they ship using USPS because it's gonna come through local mail. So that's gonna take a while. Bill post is sometimes slow, sometimes fast. It's unpredictable. But EMS is really quick. Like I've had pens delivered from Japan. And it was pretty quick. Like one day you ship it, you probably get it in like 2 to 3 days. Yeah, it was pretty quick. Like if you minus the time that I actually had to go to Pasay because of someone's mistag that gave me a heart attack. Um but it wasn't lost. It wasn't lost. I got the pen. Um and but yeah, Philpost is relatively getting better, so my happy mail gets sent, so it's okay. But it is scary. I admit it is scary. Like especially if you're probably buying like a $500 pen or like 800 or something. It can get scary that you're getting things shipped to Philippine Post.
It might not arrive, or they
I
might
mean,
find.
if there's tracking, I think it will arrive. But if there's no tracking, pray to the gods.
Pray to the gods, through all the pen gods, the post gods, the stationary gods. Please bless us and our
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I just sing a note? I'm sorry. I'm looking for the next question, Ryan. Do you see the next
Yeah,
question?
actually, I do have a question. Like, do you have any notable stationary streamer recommendations aside from you? What's your
Well,
reco-
I guess everyone in the stationary brew team is welcome. Like anyone in the team, you can actually I can actually give you the link to the TV guide. And like there's also a stationary brew team page on Twitch, so I'll also give the link to that. And everyone who streams is part of that, so you can just go follow everyone that's on the list. Um, but if you're interested specifically in like fountain pens and inks, um, the one streamer that I would recommend is Toasty Treat, and she really knows her stuff when it comes to fountain pens and inks. She usually does she alternates between her productivity hour, because she also writes on the side, like she actually writes novels. And yeah, she writes novels. But she also like streams a lot of ink swatching. So it's gonna be a fun stream. Like the Birmingham inks that I ordered last June, those were totally enabled by Toasty Stream when she swatched so many Birmingham inks, and I was like, I want all of these inks. So yeah, if you want to get enabled with like fountain pens and like all of her different collections, I think the VOD or the video on demand is still up for when she was cleaning her pens, and she showed her like almost her full collection. Um and she has a lot of she has a I think she has a bunch of Bokumondo pieces. She also got to test out CY's or Tokyo Station Pen's stack nibs as well. So that was interesting to watch. So if you're interested in a lot of pens, a lot of different tidbits, you want to learn things about pens, Toasty Street is probably um the stream that I would recommend. But if you're into like all things stationary, everyone in the brew team, like journaling, we have people who journal, we have people who are into ring planners, we have people who are also washi art, Tokubetsu Memory, or like Judy. She does like insane washi art, and she actually sent me an exacto knife.
Congratulations.
She sent me an exacto knife so that I can also do washi art. She actually asked us to turn in our homework, which so she kind of like became our de facto washi art teacher. But it's interesting. So yeah, those are some of the interesting streamers. But everyone in the team is like fun to watch, and you will never run out of things to watch because it's like a full day of streams.
And thank you. Please send the link via chat, Eunice, kahit not now. Which
Yeah.
leads me to the question, because we've been talking about the stationary community and the stationary content creators, but we haven't exactly talked about what you what you stream about. Because I'm sure that
Oh.
there's a certain foci. Like you have different foci and what you cover in your stream. So what exactly, when people go onto your Twitch, what could they expect?
I guess for my stream, it's usually very random. Sometimes I do. Okay, so I'll start with this. Most of the time, I swatch inks and well, just inks because I do get or buy a lot of inks. that's that's kind of like where I got my nickname from the Filipino fountain pen Discord community, the Blumang Pinoy Discord. They gave me a role. They called me the mother of ink hauls. Like they actually call me that now. And they would, whenever there's like someone who's like looking for inks, like "Baka, maybe I know, maybe the mother of ink halls has the ink. Maybe you should ask her." And I'm like, oh my god. And that's only because I bought a lot of Tono and Lims ink from, I think, Craft Boulevard last time. Like I mined on a lot of different things so that I can maximize the free shipping and like just buy things all at once. But yeah, most of the time it's opening Happy Meal, opening purchases that I have gotten over the weeks. Swatching inks is a regular most of the time. There was a there was an incident at one of my streams that I actually spilled bottles of ink. Like not just one. I actually spilled 3 bottles, I think, on that stream.
I was there.
So
It was the first one I watched.
and it's never happened and ever again. So it's been incident free so far. Um yeah, I make sure to cap my ink bottles whenever I swatch inks. And sometimes I journal whenever I don't have purchases or whenever there's no happy meal that comes in. I journal either on my travel journal. Most of the time, it's just my travel journal because it has the longest backlog, and it's the one that I can openly share with the community and like random strangers as well. Because most of my planners are very personal, like my work planner or my memory keeping planner. Usually, it's like a mix of uh, work and life things that are not really for public viewing. So mostly it's just travel journal and like the also my stream journal. I started a stream journal
Oh.
to just basically log like stuff that happens on stream, like sometimes how much subs and like bits I get or like new followers that come into stream. It's nice to just go back to it, I guess. We'll see how fast that fills up with the lessened frequency of how I stream now.
Yeah, but life happens. So it's
Yeah.
totally understandable. The Pen Noobs podcast has like between episodes we now have like what, 5 posts on Instagram. We haven't been keeping up either. And by the way, to our dearest audience, if you notice, Ryan and I tend to collect episodes like pre-recorded. This is the first episode that's actually likely close to the release date that we're recording. We've
Actually,
run out of episodes to to release in advance. So this is it. Thank you, Eunice, for taking up our invitation to do this again.
Of course, anytime. I love talking to you guys. Like anyone that I can talk to about pens, inks, and anything stationery, it's welcome. I am now a fountain pen enabler for another Discord group that doesn't really focus on fountain pens. And I'm like, oh, the Pilot Custom 823 is one of the best pens that you can get. So please buy it. And they were like, yeah, it's been on my wish list. Get it. You will not regret it.
get it, get it,
Yes,
I get it.
it's the best pen.
I'm the only one here who still doesn't have one.
Did
Get
you this? Like I
huh?
stopped buying pens after I bought the Pilot Custom 823. Like I was like on a pause. I'm like happy because it's so perfect. Like it's like a twist bead that has a lot of ink capacity. It has a nice, very nice nib, bouncy, not as stiff as
Mm-hmm.
the other Japanese brands. So I don't want to mention them, but I do love them. Okay, don't worry. Like I love you, Sailor. I love you, Platinum. But I swear, you have
Yeah. It was my one pen for June. So doing that challenge was painful, but at the same time it made me appreciate the custom 823 more because it is such a smooth writer. Like if I would actually do that again, or if I would actually like have no access to all of my pens for a long period of time, I would just bring my 823 and I would be happy. The sad thing is you can't keep changing inks because it's too big, right? Unless you only fill it a little bit.
Yeah.
true. Okay, I do have a confession. I want another one.
Which one?
Bakumondo one.
And yeah, actually, I do want the one that that CY has.
Mm, right. He's another penabler. Right? He has a clear one, right? He has a clear custom 823 that he had um done by Bakumondo. And
Yeah.
it's really pretty. Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
getting one. I'm getting one from him, but it's not an 823. It's a custom heritage 92. If I'm
Mm.
not mistaken, 92 is the piston filler also.
Mm.
Not the vac. So he he messaged me recently and said, "Oh, it's gonna be 10 months before Bokumondo can actually get started with your pen." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine. It means I have 10 months or so to actually save for the pen. It's okay."
That's true.
And it's gonna have a flex nib, a CY flex nib.
Oh, how exciting for
I
all of
know,
them.
I know.
When will my day come? Joke. I'm kidding. I have no plans. Cause like
you
what
have you have your Leonardo.
I have my Leonardo for now, and the CY pen hasn't arrived yet. or like maybe he's getting busy, so I'm not going to intrude on that. He's just so honorable to like even accept the request. So I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that by the end of 2021 I do get that Twilight, that
The Milky Way.
yeah, the Twilight Milky Way pen. It looks
Yeah.
like it reminds me of Fruit Loops and milk.
Oh, you got the white one, not not the black one, or the
The
blue
black
one.
one I think is like midnight something. I forgot. That was from
Yeah,
2010.
yeah, yeah.
The most recent one is
I actually
Twilight
like
Milky
I
Way.
actually like the midnight version rather than the white version, because the white version really reminds me of the Jawbreaker candy.
FY, I like the look of Fruit Loops or like
I
Lucky
cannot.
Charms and cereal. That's
I
why I like.
cannot.
Plus, I think it's notoriously well known that I do not like blue, so
Ah,
I don't like it.
makes sense.
So there is that. But hoping for that pen, hoping for the Leonardo primary manipulation sometime soon. And that's it. No, the episode is not yet done. I think we've got one last question. But
We
wait,
do have one more question.
it
Yeah,
sounds like a question that's up for like recitation actually. When I wrote it
recitation.
down. I wasn't thinking about it when I was composing this question. And we just came from our student episode. So yeah, we're in that zone.
That was a fun episode.
By the way, Ryan, Eunice was messaging me last night. We're recording this the day after it premiered, and Eunice was like giving me a play-by-play of how she felt about the episode.
Because it's so adorable. I mean, I don't know. Just seeing like kids actually talk about pens made me so guilty about my pen purchases.
Why though?
Cause like they're so thrifty, like they really think about it, and like unlike me, I would like, okay, I like this pen, okay, I'll just take my money and buy it. So sometimes I do have that phase, but lately I've been trying my best not to go that way.
Yeah, and you're reasonable enough. Like after you get this stuff, like I know you've got a lot of inks, but you still sell samples or you send out samples to a lot of
Yeah,
people.
and I've been destashing my pens actually.
Me included. So thank you.
It's still in the bubble wrap.
I'm saving it for a bad day so that I'll feel it.
It's still in the bubble wrap.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, your Happy Mail, which I'm getting in, I did send Eunice a package this past month, July. Like she sent me a package as well recently. I saved the bubble wrap on that one, and I'm gonna send her a package soon. And she's getting back the same bubble wrap that she wrapped my stuff in. Just saying,
Good one.
save the earth.
Dear.
Recycle
Recycle.
fountain pen.
Recycle.
Recycle.
Reuse pala, not recycle, reuse.
God, I hope our bio teacher friends. Environmental science. I'm sorry. It's there.
I mean, we are reusing it and not throwing it away, so at least.
That's true. Fountain pens for all. Wait, what's our last question? I got so distracted.
Yeah, okay, so I'll read it. What impact has streaming? Wow, this is a deep question,
Yeah,
Chica.
it is. Reflection question to end our lesson.
So, like,
Lesson.
it has something to do with impact. So, like, what impact has streaming had on what you acquire? How do you go about your work in life, or even just surviving this pandemic?
Oh my god. So deep. Okay. With regards to the impact that streaming has for me in terms of my life and surviving the pandemic, it actually has been an escape and kind of like a reward system for me, that okay, at the end of the week I will actually get time to work or play with my stationery, use my stationery, and hang out with people, socialize, because most of the time I only socialize with people at work. For a lot of like for the entire week, like sometimes even through Saturdays, right? I would have to deal with students and faculty, and like dealing with having to do my PhD as well. So there's a lot of pressure in life. And streaming has been like a fun thing for me to do at the end of the week most of the time, to just really kind of like forget about it for one time and just enjoy it. So yeah, in terms of on what I acquire, that's a whole different story. Like, because with streaming you also watch other people stream, and they do have a lot of different stationery that they tell you about. So like I made purchases on Yoseka, which is in New York. I've made purchases on Birmingham, which is also in the US, but I shipped that to a box, so I'm saving a little bit on shipping. And then I also ordered from Baumkuchen, and a lot of different US based stores. So always I'm gonna tell my aunt, are you filling up a box? Can I sabay? Can I add something so that I can actually get it in probably like 3 months time? So that's always the downside of shipping to a box. I get things like 3 months later, so it's delayed gratification, and that's why I always have something to stream about because things don't really get to me in time,
Mm.
like quickly, so it gets piled up. So yeah, um, but streaming has been fun, and it's helping me just survive life in general during this pandemic. Because it's fun. Like whenever I get to stream, it's always like nice to see other people. They're all very welcoming. They always like are very supportive, like people in the chat. So yeah, in terms of what I acquire, it's a negative impact because it's burning a hole through my savings or like my wallet. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stop now. But yeah, overall, it's fun. It keeps me sane at the end of the day.
Please go to her
Yeah.
streams and everyone
Hmm?
else's streams. No, I'm just telling our audience to go. Please go because I've been there, and even on the first day that I went on your stream, people are just so welcoming because I've been to other Twitch streams wherein like it's gaming and stuff, and it's kind of difficult to keep up with the kids.
Kids.
Like you feel like you're not a kid because I don't know the way that they're talking, the way they're typing, what they're talking about. It's very hyper specific. But when you go to one of the Twitch streams of any stationary streamer, and I don't usually visit because I want to rest usually on weekends, but it's always so welcoming. Like they remember my name, they remember to say hi.
Yeah.
It's
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 always nice because we usually have like mods as well, like moderators for the stream. So sometimes uh they know that they're mods, so they actively say hi to people. Or even if they're not mods, whenever there's someone new in the chat, they do say hi a lot of the time. And whenever, for example, I see that there's a new person in chat, I will actually, for example, when you drop by, I would like actually say, "Oh, shout out to Jika from the Pen Noobs podcast." Always like dropping the podcast anytime that I can. So
super
yeah.
killing.
Hmm?
Killing.
Kilig forever.
Live forever. It's like it's like you've got your um what do you call this content creator polyamorous relationship.
I mean, if I can, right, I would just resign, like just be a content creator for life. But like that's not possible. That's not sustainable for me right now because like I need money to pay my bills for the things that I buy. So I'm gonna keep my job for a little while longer.
I hope they don't hear this. Don't have
I
this
mean,
episode
no,
be
I've been
recorded.
joking about that for quite some time. It's always been a running joke, but I probably won't. Like it's hard to actually like if you're thinking about it as a teacher. Like I feel like you guys can also relate. It's actually hard to decide to just stop teaching once you've started to teach because it's like you worry about these kids, like will they actually get good education, or like am I teaching them well, things like that. So it's like your conscience kind of eats you alive sometimes. I don't know. I've only been a teacher for like 2 years, and it's different. Like it's very different. So
Well, we're happy you're here as a teacher and the fellow. Like I'm getting sentimental. Stop me, Ryan.
oh,
Save me. Save me.
Jika is getting emotional.
Oh, okay. So at this point, I think Eunice, you can tell us more about where we can find you, where our listeners can also find you on Instagram, Twitch, so that if they are interested to watch your streams, you can tell
Yeah.
us more about it.
All right. So for Instagram, you can find me at sushi.plans. It's my specific account for like fountain pens and planner related stationery stuff. Um, But for Twitch, you can find me at twitch.tv/sushi or uni. So that's my usual username. And what else? Other than that, I don't have a lot of different socials, but we do have like a new podcast that's coming, like with my friends. So it's something that we're gonna try. If the episodes are actually gonna come out Sunday, August 15, which is tomorrow when we're recording this podcast. It's Mongata podcast, spelled Mangata dot podcast on Instagram. So it's not published yet on Spotify, but we hope you can give it a listen as well if you are interested. It's just gonna be random ramblings of like Asian girls that got to study or spend some significant time abroad, just talking about life in general. So it's just life stories. If you're interested in that, feel free to listen to. It's a trial. We'll see how it goes.
Already followed it yesterday. Just saying. So
Thank you.
yay! And that's it for this episode because we don't know what day it's gonna release, but likely August or September. And yes, thank you once again to Uni for having us. No, for what? I'm confused. Who is who having who?
Yes, it's kind of like me saying welcome to those who I'm congratulating for winning the giveaway today. I don't know what I'm saying. It makes no sense. I swear, for every person that I said, for every person I congratulated, I also say welcome. And I was like, what the hell? Thank
Yes,
you.
please, thanks so much. It's so much fun chatting with you and catching up with you, especially with your streaming because that's one of the things we're so curious about. And but I don't think we'll have the time and the energy to have to do it now. But maybe in the future, GK and I will consider it.
Yeah. So log on, listen to this podcast, watch this podcast, and support Unisse. Thanks, guys. Goodbye and thank you, students. I mean, pen friends.
Goodbye, friends.
Bye, everyone.